We're going to cross over to New York, and historian Ian Reifowitz, he's the author of The Tribalization of Politics and professor of history at Empire State College at the State University of New York. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you.
Now, Donald Trump making this announcement on Monday at a campaign rally in Lexington, Kentucky. And the question is this really a vote-getter announcing that you're walking away from trying to stop the planet from overheating?
I don't see how this is a significant plus for Donald Trump. It's interesting that he announced it in Kentucky, which is a state that is very dependent on coal mining, which is perhaps the single industry that stands the most to lose from the United States moving towards a greener economy. Kentucky is a state that Donald Trump should win easily, although it's also a state that the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is running for re-election. I mean, if you look at polling, and there is not a lot of polling on the environment specifically, but for example, there's a September poll from CBS News. If you want to look at independents, right, because you figure Democrats are pro-environment, pro-Paris climate agreement, Republicans are the opposite. 40% of independents said that climate change was very important to them, and 20% said that the candidate they vote for must match their views. And if you look at how independents view Donald Trump on the environment in this poll, it's not great news for him. About 38% say that his record on the environment is excellent or good, and 62% say it's fair or poor, with 42% saying poor. So it looks like a slight negative for him. The more news there is about Donald Trump going against the Paris Climate Accord, I think that might hurt him at the margins in terms of his reelection. Of course, he won re-election in 2016 by the smallest of margins. So independence, it looks like it'll hurt him a little bit. And I think it will hurt him among young people. We saw Greta Thunberg come to New York last month. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, before we talk about Greta Thunberg, I want to get back to what you were saying about Kentucky at the outset. Now, okay, a state like Kentucky, you produce coal, you got a president who says, I'm going to support the coal industry. I understand that that's a vote-getter. But, for instance, on Monday, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced it was easing Barack Obama-era rules on toxic coal ash. Now, even if you like coal, you probably don't like polluted rivers. So why would people cheer when he announces deregulation of things like, trying to keep the water clean?
That's a wonderful question. I think you want to get into some psychology here. There is a bit of, frankly, cultism and tribalism. My book is called The Tribalization of Politics. There are people who vote for Donald Trump because they see him as sticking it to people they don't like. Liberals, women, minorities, immigrants. If you're sticking it to those people, and liberals are in particular get very upset if you do things that are negative to the environment, then you're supporting the identity of the people who like it when you stick it to them. This is about ginning up his base. Donald Trump knows one way to run for president, and that is to gin up his base. Since it worked last time, he figures it's going to work again. He's running a base
even
strategy.
If it pollutes the river even if it pollutes the river that's running outside your house.
Look, you're talking to me as if logic is the primary factor here. Yeah, even if it pollutes the river outside my house, yeah, I think that's how the base works. There's maybe 35% of the people who will. Who just don't care, or more importantly, don't believe, right? They as in the words of Kellyanne Conway, one of his top advisors, there's a universe of alternative facts. They don't believe you when you say that the river is going to get worse. They think it's a lie. They think it's fake news. And this is why we go back to the issue of it being a cult. If you can live in a hermetically sealed informational environment in which the only information you accept as truth is information that comes to you from Donald Trump, or somebody stamped with Donald Trump's approval, then you don't believe that the river's going to get worse. You think it's all just a lie or fake news.
Now, this is
that's the reality of where we're at for about 30.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ian Reifowitz, now we get to our Greta Thunberg question, which is, back in 2016, there were 3 debates. I don't remember, but maybe it did happen. I don't remember the environment coming up once between those debates between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. What's 2020 going to look like?
Well, I think your memory is correct. The Democrats did have a forum. It wasn't an official debate, but it was a forum devoted solely to climate change. And almost all, if I remember, the major Democrats came. to that forum. Look, the environment is, in addition to being important for independence, it's a really important issue for young people. And young people, people under 25, the Greta Thunberg generation, I know she's only 16, but these are people who typically do not come out and vote in large numbers, although they did come out and vote in big numbers in 2018 for the midterms, which Democrats did very well in. Young people are strongly pro-environment. They are very angry about the Trump administration's rules changes on things like coal. They believe it when you say that the river running behind their house is going to be much worse off. They want the U.S. to be on the forefront of the environment. If the environment pushes young people's turnout up by 5, 6, 7%, and I wouldn't be surprised if that issue alone, the more they get angry about it, the more they come out by 5, 6, 7%. That's another 1 or 2% against Trump. If the majority of young people vote for Democrats and you increase their percentage by 6 or 7, you could see a 1 or 2% swing. Again, more than enough to shift 2016 in favor of Hillary Clinton if you could do that. So young people matter, and Greta is a real voice for them.
All right. And at this point in time, you're saying it could bring out young people. Of course, we're not certain of that. And I just want to get back, Ian Reifowitz, one last time to this issue of tribalism, because there's the issue of whether or not Donald Trump will win in 2020, but certainly Trumpism will survive him. Are we facing this kind of divide over the environment for perhaps a generation?
Well, young Republicans, and I looked at another poll, in preparing for today. Young Republicans are increasingly more concerned about global warming, about climate change. They do not like Trump's position. So, generationally, the politics are on the side of the environment. The question is, will it be too late? At some point, will it be too late if the United States doesn't take action? I don't think it's a motivating factor for most Republicans. Concern about climate change is not a motivating factor for most Republicans. If Democrats win in 2020, obviously, then the United States can take some serious action. It is an issue, though, that obviously, there's a time clock on it. If we don't act reasonably soon, we may not be able to undo the problems. And the United States right now is one of, if not the leading, forces in terms of destroying the environment. We've got to shift that issue. Young people have to make that happen. They have to make their voices heard if they want to change U.S. policy.
All right, Ian Reifowitz, the author of The Tribalization of Politics. Thank you for joining us from New York City.